The rain never truly stopped on Marea Prime. It shimmered like liquid glass, painting the silver fields and glowing cities with a constant, gentle sorrow. Humans rarely ventured there, too wet, too luminous, too alien. But James Callan had long stopped caring about comfort. He trudged through the mist toward the domed village of Lishaw, following a pale guide whose translucent skin shimmered like moonlight. The Mareans were a gentle race, slender, amphibious beings with eyes that glowed softly beneath their veined eyelids. They spoke in soft ripples of tone, like waves over crystal. "Human," said the guide, turning toward him. "You are certain you wish to meet her? My sister does not see. She cannot, will not, know your form. And she has been promised before, many times, only to be pitied." James adjusted the strap of his soaked satchel. "I didn't come for pity. You asked for someone willing to bond with her. I said yes." The guide blinked, their pupils expanding like ink in water. "Then follow. And remember my words. She will not see your ugliness, but she will feel your truth." Inside the crystalline dome, warmth and music surrounded him. Mareans hummed in unison, their voices merging with the hum of bioluminescent vines. James' rough boots echoed awkwardly against the smooth floor. He felt like a beast among angels. They brought him to her, a girl seated beside a slow-moving pond of shimmering water. Her hair was silver white, her skin faintly blue. Her eyes were closed, framed by delicate, translucent lashes. And yet her smile, small, curious, unguarded, made James's throat tighten. "This is Nira," said the brother softly. "My blind sister." Nira tilted her head, listening. So this is the human who would marry a stranger from another world? Her voice was melodic, filled with that gentle humor only the innocent possess. James bowed, awkwardly. "I suppose that's me." She laughed, light and pure. "Then come closer, stranger. Let me see you." He hesitated, but stepped forward. She reached out a trembling hand, fingertips brushing his face. Her touch lingered, across his rough cheek, the scar along his jaw, the old burn near his temple. No disgust, no fear, just curiosity. "Your skin is warm," she whispered, "like a sunrise." James swallowed. "You're the first to call me that." "Others do not look with their hearts," she said simply. "But I must." Her brother's expression softened, almost regretful. "Nira, he has agreed to the union. For your safety and ours. The Terran Accords will protect this dome if a human binds with one of us." She nodded gently, unaware of the politics surrounding her. "Then I am his. And he mine." The ceremony was small. Mareans sang ancient words as bioluminescent petals floated through the air, glowing softly around the couple. Nira took James's hand with quiet certainty. When it was done, she whispered, "You sound nervous." "I'm not used to someone trusting me," he admitted. Her smile widened. "Then learn." That night, they shared a small chamber lit by soft blue vines. James couldn't sleep. He kept staring at her as she slept peacefully, her hand resting near his. Her brother's warning echoed in his head. "She can't see how ugly you are." But it wasn't just his scarred face he feared, it was his past. James had once been a soldier, one of the many who'd fought in the war that left Maria's skies burning. His platoon had destroyed a Marean water temple, killing hundreds. He deserted after that, unable to bear the screams. Now he was here, marrying a blind alien girl whose people he'd once harmed. Days turned into weeks. James helped repair water turbines, gathered crystals, and learned to speak in soft tones, as Nira did. She listened to everything, his footsteps, his breathing, even the way he sighed when memories hurt too much. One day she asked, "James, Why do you always sound sad when the rain falls? He froze. Because I remember things I wish I could forget. Tell me, she urged. He hesitated, but her hand found his, and that simple touch broke him. He told her everything. The war, the temple, the lives lost. When he finished, silence filled the chamber. He waited for her to recoil, to curse him. Instead, she whispered, "You carry their pain. That means you are not lost." Tears filled his eyes. "You should hate me." "I cannot hate what I do not see," she said softly. "And I do not see a monster." Their bond deepened. They laughed often, walked through the glowing fields, and Nira taught him to hear the music of the rain. She would trace his face and say, "I know where your smiles begin." But peace never lasts long. One night, alarms blared across Lisha. The dome shuddered as explosions lit the sky. Raiders. Not humans, but a band of off-world scavengers seeking to capture Marians for trade. Nira clutched his arm. "James, what is happening?" "Stay close to me," he said, grabbing a pulse rifle from the wall. Her brother burst into the room, panting. "They're breaching the southern gate. We need to evacuate the elders." James nodded and ran with him, leaving Nira in the chamber. But halfway to the defense lines, the dome cracked with a deafening roar. Water rushed in through a shattered corridor. "Nira!" James shouted, spinning back. Her brother grabbed his arm. "You'll drown if you go." "She's my wife." He tore free, plunging into the rising flood. The water was cold and blinding. He fought through corridors, calling her name, until he heard a faint cry. "James!" He found her trapped beneath debris, the glowing vines flickering out. He heaved the wreckage aside, cutting his arm, and pulled her close. "I can't see," she whispered. "You don't have to," he said. "Just hold on." But the corridor was collapsing. He knew they wouldn't make it back. So he looked at the small rebreather at his belt, the only one. Without hesitation, he placed it over her mouth. She shook her head weakly. "No, James."
Sure.
"You once told me I was warm like a sunrise. It's your turn to see one." Then he kissed her forehead and pushed her toward the surface as the floodwaters surged. Nira awoke to the sound of waves and distant voices. Her brother was beside her, his face streaked with tears. "Where is he?" she asked immediately. He could not answer, but she felt the silence like a wound. For days, she sat by the shore, her hands pressed into the wet sand. The Marians had rebuilt what they could, but the dome's glow seemed dimmer. One evening, she felt something soft wash against her hand, a satchel. Inside, she found a small metal pendant, a crude carving of two hands intertwined, etched in shaky lines. Her fingers traced the grooves, and she smiled through her tears. "You still feel warm," she whispered. Months passed. The dome healed, as did its people. But Nira continued to walk the shore each morning, speaking softly to the wind. Until one day, as dawn broke, she heard a voice she thought she'd only hear again in dreams. "Beautiful morning, isn't it?" Her breath caught. "James?" He stood there, soaked, scarred, but alive. The tide shimmered around his boots. "I didn't think the sea would give me back," he said, smiling faintly. "Guess it missed me." She ran toward him, tears falling freely. When she reached him, her hands trembled as they touched his face again. "I told you I'd find your smile," she whispered. "And I told you," he murmured, "you'd see the sunrise." She laughed, a sound of pure, radiant joy. Around them, the sea glowed brighter, as if the world itself rejoiced. That night, the village sang for them again. Marians and humans together, their voices weaving into the rhythm of the tide. Nira leaned against him, listening to his heartbeat. "Do you still think you're ugly?" she asked. He chuckled. "Not when you're the one looking at me." Her hand brushed his face. "I never looked at you, James. I felt you, and I saw everything that mattered." The rain outside shimmered, soft and endless. And somewhere deep within that silver storm, two hearts, one human, one alien, beat as one, proving that love sees farther than eyes ever could.